Most people use Gmail labels as folders. They sort their messages into neat little categories, but they never look at them again. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get started with labels and share 2 ways of using labels that most people have never considered. Gmail search is so powerful that you almost never need to actually use labels to find emails anymore. So if labels aren't for storing emails, what are they actually meant for? First, labels are great as saved searches or shortcuts to quickly find your most important emails that matter most. And second, used correctly, labels can be used as a full productivity system. I'll walk you through the exact label setup that I use with our general manager to streamline how we work together in my inbox. And if you don't have someone to help you with your inbox, then stick around to the end where I will share the next best thing. Labels are like Gmail's version of folders, but more flexible. Unlike traditional folders where you can only put a message in one folder at a time, with labels, you can apply multiple labels to the same message, allowing it to appear in multiple places. To create a new label, click on any email, and then from the label button, you can apply one of your existing labels or create a new one and give it a name. If you want, you can nest the label under one of your existing labels to create more of a hierarchy and label structure. Once I've added the label to the message, you'll see it appear on your sidebar. If you click the 3 dots, you've got options to either show or hide this label from your list. This is quite useful if you have labels that you sometimes want to use, but you don't want them to clutter up your sidebar. You can also apply colors to your labels if you want to use them for things like priority or status. And if you want to rename your label, you can edit, or you can remove the label if you no longer need it. So creating labels is easy. So what's the best way to use them? Well, most people use their labels as folders or categories, things like invoices or client name, and they store emails to find them later. But remember, Google is the most powerful search company in the world, and it's actually quicker and often more reliable to search for emails using someone's name, email address, or a keyword. So instead of wasting time labeling every single message, let's let search do the heavy lifting, and let's use labels in a more effective way. The first is using labels as shortcuts or for saved searches. For example, I have this invoices label here. So I'm going to use this label to quickly find any email that I've sent to a client that contains an invoice. Now, I can manually apply this email to my outgoing messages, or to streamline this further, I could create a filter. I'm not going to explain all the different ways you can search for and filter your messages, but check out our blog for full details. For example, I'm going to search for any email from myself that includes the words invoice and has an attachment. Now, if I run this search, this is going to show me any message that I've sent in the past that meet this criteria. I can select them all at the top and I can apply my label. Or what I'm going to do is edit this search and then I'm going to create a filter. Now, I can say, right, any incoming message, or in this case, actually an outgoing message that meets this criteria, I'm going to apply the invoices label and I'm going to create that filter now. So now the sorting happens automatically for me by the filter, and I have a quick shortcut to quickly access those important messages. Now, the second way of using labels is as a productivity system. This is my preferred approach for using labels. And this is where you use the label to represent the action that you need to take on a given email. And the key thing here is that the label is applied temporarily. Once you've taken the action, you remove it from the email. So how I use these labels on the left here with my general manager, now she's actually in a completely different time zone. So she's in my inbox sorting, responding to and triaging emails while I'm still asleep. And we used this label system to coordinate who's doing what with each email. Now, this is actually a methodology I learned from the book Buy Back Your Time, fantastic book by Dan Martell. I made a whole separate video about this, which I will link up here. This book has had a huge impact on me in the last couple of years. So what Charmaine does is she goes through every incoming email in my main inbox here, and then she takes the necessary action and applies one of these labels. Paul, these are messages that she can't deal with. She can't respond to. It's something I have to deal with. So she applies the Paul label to messages that only I can handle. And I know that when I start my day, I should focus on those first. The Charmaine folder, this is emails that she is dealing with or keeping track of. Responded is emails that she has responded to on my behalf, or maybe she's drafted a response for me that I can review and then send. We have the archive for emails that don't require an action or a response. They can just be archived. And then we have receipts and financials for invoices that are coming in and newsletters for things I might want to read later. Now, the key thing here is that these labels are applied temporarily. So when I start my day, I can go through each of those labels, open the message, but once I've read this newsletter in this case, I remove the label and I clear the message out from that particular label. Now, with this technique, each of these labels is kind of like its own separate inbox. And as I remove messages from each of these labels, I know that when there's nothing left, I'm completely up to date. Everything has been dealt with appropriately and nothing has fallen through the cracks. Now, not everyone has an assistant or somebody helping them with their email. If that's you, and if you are currently drowning in email, then I recommend SaneBox. And SaneBox is sponsoring this video. It is a service I have used for years in the past before I built out my team. And I recommend SaneBox to anyone who is just drowning in email. If you've got hundreds or even thousands of emails in your main inbox and manually sorting through, archiving or labeling them is just going to take far too long, then sign up to SaneBox. You can use the link in the description to get a $25 credit. Turn it on and SaneBox works like magic. It uses AI and it's been around since before AI was cool, let me tell you, and it sorts all your email. It puts emails that aren't important or you don't really need to deal with right now into a Sane Later folder, and it leaves just the most important messages in your primary inbox. It also creates labels for messages for things like reminders, receipts, news. It's even your follow-up assistant. If you ever receive messages from someone who you swear you've unsubscribed from their messages before, drag that email into the Sane black hole folder and you'll never hear from them again. Check out our full tutorial up here where I show how to get started with SaneBox. Now, however you choose to use your Gmail labels, my final tip is to make sure you review and tweak them over time based on your usage. I would suggest not having more than 10 to 15 at any one time, as anything more than that can get a bit too cumbersome and hard to manage. You'll just find your sidebar here gets too busy. Make sure you take advantage of the nesting feature to create a hierarchy within your system. And if you just find you're not using a label as much as you thought you would, you can remove it at any time. As you can see, there are loads of powerful ways to use Gmail labels beyond basic categorization and sorting. If you have any questions, leave me a comment down below. And if you want to get more productivity videos like this, then subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much for watching.